So good morning, yeah. This is Facey. All right. So yes, this week we've been talking about the 9 social intelligence principles everyone can master and all of that. But because it's quite a large topic, we decided to do a video because we love you and wanted to learn quite a lot. And then we're doing this video so that you'll be able to actually put all of the things in perspective. All right. Many times when we talk about social intelligence, many people think about other things. People don't want to think about social intelligence. Think about being book smart, being smart in other areas. But social intelligence is an important part of your success, and which is why we must strive to teach our children about social intelligence. So we usually, talk about answer question by referring to IQ tests, test scores, grades, and all of that. But true intelligence really is about being both book smart and street smart. How many of our children are street smart? All right, so at the level 3 level, we're currently reading Social Intelligence, the full book of Daniel Coleman, talking about the whole thing about social intelligence. We're in a review yesterday, and it was the link between wrong relationships and our health, right? It's cancer. Some cancer have been linked to some kind of wrong relationship that happened in our lives, and which is why how to create relationships is a key factor on our parenting journey, all right? So social intelligence is the ability to successfully build relationships and navigate social environments. When I hear people say, I don't have friends, it doesn't matter, I don't need friends, that is actually a sign of a lack of a skill. It's not something to brag about, all right? I'm sure that in the level 1 where we're doing, for those of us who have already done creating a social roadmap for your Gen Z, and when you do that, you're going to come with plenty buzzwords as usual, all right, that will make you rethink. If you're one of those people that have been saying, I don't need friends, I don't have friends, I don't want it, and all of that. So strong relationships actually improve our immune system and they help combat diseases. Oh yes, loneliness and weak relationships are one of the major sources of stress, health problems, and also depression. These are neuroscience proven, all right? So our relationship affect every area of our lives, from our colleagues, our spouses, our friends, and even our kids as well. So we're talking about the social brain. I'm going to talk about a bit about the social brain. We're wired to connect. Many times how we're parented, how we're raised, the things that happen to us is one of the things that actually takes away connection. And then we begin to say, oh, I'm a loner. Nobody is actually a loner. Nobody is created as a loner. We decide, or we are parented to become one, or our environment puts us in a place where we become loners. So we're wired to connect. I was reading Daniel Coleman. He argues that we have specific structures in our brain that is built to optimize relationship. We have the spindle cell. It is the fastest acting neuron in our brain that guides social decisions. So human brains contain more of these spindle cells than any other species. So mirror neurons, that's another one, helps us predict the behavior of people around us by subconsciously mimicking their movement. So it helps us to feel as they feel, move as they move. So when a man gets to look from a woman he finds attractive, his brain actually secretes dopamine, a chemical that makes us feel pleasure. All right. In fact, reading Social Intelligence as a book is just amazing. All right. But don't overwhelm yourself. Is that if you're not at level 3 yet, there's no need to overwhelm yourself with it. So we're going to take it one step at a time. Okay. So here are the 9 ways that you can begin to 9 principles of improving social intelligence. Number 1 is proto conversations. Proto conversation is one topic that we're going to be big on at the 3rd level, right? So there's so much going on behind our words. As we speak, our brains are taking in micro expressions, voice intonations, gestures. And people who have very high SI have greater awareness of their proto conversations. All right, there are 2 aspects: social awareness, all right, and then social faculty. So knowing how to have smooth and effective interaction is a skill. Knowing how to actually self-presentation influence is a skill. Consign is a skill, So that's under social faculty, and these are things that we need to teach our children intentionally. Number 2 is the social triggers. Now let's start with the social awareness. People and places actually trigger different emotions, and it affects our ability to connect. Think about a time you felt excited, energized by an interaction. Now think of a time where you felt drained, defeated after an interaction. So Coleman actually looks at this, our brain processing social interactions between the low road and the high road. All right. So the low road is our instinct. It's emotional based way we process interactions. Is how we read body language, facial expressions, and also then formulate gut about people. Then the high road is our logical, critical thinking. The part of the interaction we use on the high road to connect, to communicate, to tell stories, to make connections. So why are these important? The low road guides our gut feeling, our instincts. All right. So for instance, if people don't come for your child's birthday party, you might feel anxiety when you're thinking about your own birthday party as as an adult. So even if you have plenty of friends who would attend, so your high road tells you that you're grown up and things have changed, but your low road gives you social anxiety. So it's called social triggers. You should be aware of your unconscious social triggers to help you make relationship decisions. So knowing your low road triggers will help you to your high road functions. All right. How can you identify yours? Number one is, what kind of social interaction do you dread? Think about it. Who do you feel anxious hanging out with? Think about it. What do you feel when you can't be yourself? Think about it. All right. Number three, your secure base. So whether you're a cheerful extrovert or a quiet introvert, everyone needs a space and a place to recharge. So we call it the secure base. It's a place or a ritual or activity that helps you to process your emotions and occurrences. How can you begin to put this into perspective for your children? You can create an alone time. In my home, we call it the alone time for the children. So the secure base is helpful for two main reasons. It gives you a place to recharge before interaction, so you don't get out burnt out. And then it also helps you to process and learn from each social interaction. So let your children learn to shut down every day and have that secure base, have that lone conversation with yourself. You can actually improve your social intelligence if you prioritize it. All right. So here are some of the things that possible secure base ideas that you can use in your car when you're driving home. Journaling before bedtime. My children journal every evening because I taught them to journal. Journaling is one key thing that have helped kids, even adults. Then you can also do workbook ideas. You can also have a brainstorming session with your partner. I do that with my spouse every evening. We brainstorm, and then you can also have a rehearse session with a friend, depending on what it is. So that can be your secure base. The number 4 is the broken bonds. One of the biggest pitfalls of social intelligence is lack of empathy. So Coleman calls it the broken bonds, and it's coined in the idea of the connection that happens with one person treats another like an object as opposed to a human being. So we need to begin to learn empathy again. How do you begin to deal with this broken bond? Don't interact because you feel that you should. Say no to obligations if you can. Interact with empathy or don't interact at all. So you need to now begin to teach your children empathy. I say that everything that we do is actually based on empathy. And if you do not teach your children empathy, your children won't be able to actually make influence, because every influence you make is based on empathy first. All right? So it's going to really help you. Then number 5, positively infectious. So when people smile at us, it's hard enough for you to smile back, really. So many times when you smile, people get to smile back because emotions are contagious. That's another principle that you can use to do that. So number 6 is adopt to adapt. So our low road automatically mirrors the people around us. So that's how empathy works. Our brain copies the people around us to feel as they feel. So that's why when you yawn, another person beside you would yawn also. It's infectious. All right. This in turn helps us understand them, when they are coming from, and even be better at predicting our reactions. All right. So here's the big deal. Don't fight it. Sometimes our high roads get in the way. All right. So for instance, if your partner is angry at something, we try to stay calm. Then we try to calm them down. So usually it makes it worse. All right. So the upset person feels you don't really understand. That's how your child also feels. So because your child is upset at some point, your child will feel you don't get it. So why? Because you are fighting your instinct to mirror their upset. So sometimes you should let yourself adopt their emotions. Put yourself exactly where they are. This might give you a new glimpse into their perspective and help them to see, you on the same page with them. So instead of just trying to every time tell your children, oh, let me calm. Sometimes you don't need to calm the person down. You actually just need to put yourself, you just need to just adapt to adopt, all right? You just need to adopt whatever it is that is happening in the environment at that time, and then you are able to do it. One of the things that I do with my kids is when something is actually, really upsetting, I did with my daughter even when she was back this holiday, and, I got into the complaint, the rage. I mean, she was actually complaining about a classmate and all of that. I was like, that's true. People can actually really be. And then I was able to adapt what she feels, and she felt I understood her. And from there, we were able to have conversations. One of the problems of parenting is that we're constantly trying to correct. Sometimes what you need is not correction. What you need is to tap into the environment. Let your child be able to vent. I was having a conversation with one of the parents in the inner circle, and I said, one of the things that you can help your children who are very hyper is to give them a listening ear. They want to be heard. Let them be heard before you can now get into the space where you're correcting and trying to do, things the other way. Number 7, beware of the dark triad. Now, Coleman identifies the dark triad of people as a narcissistic personality. All right, that's psychopaths and all of that. The narcissistic personality is when someone has an inflated view of themselves. That's a huge ego and a sense of entitlement. All right, so it's very important that the other side, you must teach your children that others exist to adore as well. So the dark triad says that others exist to adore me. Instead of others also exist for me to also recognize that they exist. So you just think that everything is about you. If you meet entitled people, that's one of the things that happen. So you must also learn not to create an entitlement, system around your, parenting. Then you have the mind blind. You can usually guess what someone is about to say sometimes, or you are good at predicting people's behavior, or you think you're intuitive and all of that. If yes is the answer to this question, you probably have a very high mindset and high social awareness. So when people are about to talk, you can predict what they want to say. It's a case of you building your skills to a certain level. So if you answered no to this question, you might fall on the mind blind side of the spectrum. All right. So mind blind is the inability to sense. So there is mind sight, there is mind blind. Mind blind is the inability to sense what's happening in the mind of someone else. That's the key to mind sight, is compassion. The moment you become compassionate, you begin to actually have more mind sight. In short, self-absorption in all its forms kills empathy. That's Coleman. He said, let alone compassion. So when you're self-absorbed, you kill empathy. You need to teach your children. You can see how much social interaction, social intelligence revolves around empathy. So our world contracts as our problem and precaution looms large, but you need to focus on others. You need to learn to focus on others, and you need to teach your children that they should do that. All right. So it's very important. Then number 9 is a people's prescription. The most striking finding on relationship and physical health is that socially integrated people, those who are married, have close family, friends, belong to social and religious groups, and participate widely in these networks, recover more quickly from diseases and live longer. Roughly 18 studies show a strong connection between social connectivity and mortality. That should actually give you something to think of. Friends make you healthy. So for those of us who are constantly saying, "No, I don't need friends. I don't need to connect with anybody. I don't need to build circles." One of your goals for being in the inner circle, of course you know that, is to build strong social interactions and strong social circles for you and your child, because it's a key to who would actually be able to do more and influence their world even more. So today, you've learned about the 9 principles of social intelligence, and that's what we're doing for this week. And throughout this week, we're going to be looking, into practical ways to bring this to bear, and we're going to be sharing with you 1 or 2 things every day for you to be able to do that. And then your connection tools helps you every day for you to actually be able to connect and also be able to teach your children some of these social skills that we're saying. So do not take any of the connection tools for granted. This is where it actually plays a role. All right. If you look around you, you find out that more and more, over and more again, we're creating more people who are becoming entitled, and then who also lack empathy. Is a big deal in today's world, and it's something that we do not want to see, something that we need to begin to consciously build. Now I talk about raising kings and raising peasants. When you raise kings are always very empathic, they are compassionate, they are thinking of their people. So it's a people-centered system rather than an individualistic centered system. All right, so we're raising kings who would think about the people, and in turn, that actually is what makes you to have influence over the people. You can't influence people that you do not understand. So stop shutting your children out of social connections, and that phone that holding your phone from morning till night and all of that, you as an adult, as a parent, it actually also needs to start with you. You need to begin to work out ways to actually deal with some of those things that you're currently doing as regards occupying your time with screens. Screens are actually created in such a way that it kills social connections, and that's why there are much more diseases ravaging the world with a lot of connections and all of that. Sometimes diseases are just all energy. I was reading something recently about arthritis, and it has a link to how you were raised and the anger that you're accumulating in your body. Interesting research that was done, and perspective and all of that. So today I would urge you to write out, do you really have people that you can talk to, interact with, not just anybody? Consciously create a social network for you and your child. If you have a problem how to create a social network, send your questions and I'll be here to answer you. Thank you again, and see you tomorrow, Yades. Bye.